When most NBA fans think about the game they love, they think about moments. They think about LeBron and Kyrie coming back from down 3-1. They think about Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in 9 seconds. They think about Kawhi's game-winning shot. They think about Michael Jordan's game-winning shot against the Jazz. They think about Kobe hitting a one-legged shot for game. They think about the players. But how couldn't you? We clearly have the privilege of watching generational talent. We clearly see the gifts that these athletes put on display, which our minds attempt to comprehend. We remember the game winners, the poster dunks, the ankle breakers. But what about the guy who switches the zone defense that leads to a 10-0 run? What about the guy who calls floppy for their shooter who has made 4 out of 5 threes in 10 minutes of play? What about the guy who calls timeout to ice a free throw shooter before they miss the game-tying free throws? What about the coaches? These are the moments that don't show up on the stat sheets, but they win games. I'm Just Drew, and this is how coaches win games you don't notice.
Bothered by Lowe's. Iverson. How about that? Steps over Teron Lowe.
But before we get into the video, you already know what I'm gonna say. Like and subscribe. You know the whole 9. If you think about it, this is a video about coaches, and I'm the coach of this channel, and I'm in my JJ Redick era. No more hands in pockets, Darvin Ham. I'm putting out straight bangers, chat. 5 big booms for every like.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! Boom! Boom!
The year is 2004. The Lakers are coming off of a loss in the Western Conference Finals to the Spurs. No sweat though. They just three-peated the year before and were looking to bounce back with a purpose. They deserved the grace given to them after 3 straight years of dominance with prime Shaq and an emerging Kobe Bean, and were expected by many to return to the promised land. In fact, they were the favorites by far during the preseason to win the championship at plus 140 odds. Anybody with a brain would have them as the favorites. They acquired heavy hitters in Karl Malone, no Diddy, Horace Grant, Byron Russell, and Gary Payton, while somehow maintaining their core role players in Rick Fox, Devin George, and Derek Fisher. But slightly further down, at plus 1500 odds to win the championship, lied the Detroit Pistons. There wasn't much special about their team on paper. They only had 1 All-Star and All-NBA player in Big Ben Wallace. They didn't have a single player averaging over 20 points. Each of their players had relatively average player efficiency ratings and advanced stats. There was nothing outstandingly phenomenal about this team, outside of Larry Brown. Larry Brown is one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time. He is 9th all-time in NBA regular season wins, has hit 100 playoff wins, and is the only coach in history to win both an NBA and NCAA title. It was no surprise that if anyone could make the Pistons a championship contender, it would be Larry Brown, as he already did it. Remember the 2001 Sixers? The team that Allen Iverson gets all the credit for carrying to the NBA Finals? Well, they were coached by Larry Brown, who won Coach of the Year. Larry Brown was a proven defensive mastermind and player developer, maximizing the talent out of all players that went through his system. And that was on full display during the 2004 NBA season. The Pistons acquired Rasheed Wallace and never looked back. That season, the Pistons were 2nd in margin of victory, while somehow having a mediocre offensive rating and being bottom 10 in pace. How did they do that? Well, they were 2nd in defensive rating at 95.4, while holding their opponents to 41% shooting and a league-low 84.3 points per game. Imagine that, 84 points in a game? Think about today's NBA. 100 is the standard. Moreover, they led the league in blocks per game at 7 and forced 16 turnovers a game. Also, I'd like to take a moment to explain the significance of the Rasheed Wallace trade. After his acquisition, the Pistons allowed 78.9 points per game, never allowing 100 points in the 26 regular season games post-Rasheed trade, and never allowing 95 points in the playoffs. Throughout the playoffs, they did not let up. In 11 out of their 23 games, they held their opponents under 80 points with a 92 defensive rating throughout the playoffs, meaning their defense in the playoffs was even better than their regular season defense. They also allowed under 70 points in 6 playoff games, and is one of 2 teams in NBA history to hold a team to under 60 points in a playoff game. These stats just get increasingly more dominant. They allowed under 45% on field goal attempts in 20 playoff games, a tied NBA record, while also allowing under 35% in 5 games and under 30% in 2 games, both tied for playoff records. Notably, they shut down key players, holding Jason Kidd to 12.6 points per game on 33% shooting and Jermaine O'Neal to 13.2 points per game on 39% shooting. And this was their recipe to getting to the finals. Heading into the finals, the Lakers were the heavy favorites at -700 odds. They were top 3 in points per game at 98.2, while averaging 23.8 assists per game on 45.4% shooting and 32.7% from 3. In the finals, however, this was night and day. The Pistons held the Lakers to 81.8 points per game on 41.6% shooting and 24.7% from 3, while averaging 20.6 assists per game. In fact, the Lakers only scored 90 in the finals once, and that game went to overtime, even scoring under 70 points in Game 3, a 30-point drop-off from their regular season average. The Pistons outscored the Lakers by 45 points in that series, winning 3 of the 5 games by double digits. But how did Larry Brown mastermind this in a matchup that should have clearly favored LA? How could Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace compete with Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton? Well, this can be broken down into 4 parts: pick and rolls, psychology, rotations, and spacing. Larry Brown knew that Shaq was at his best when he was operating around the paint defensively. To combat this, the Pistons target Shaq in pick and roll actions, forcing him to play the perimeter, leaving the paint open for the taking. Larry Brown also knew that Kobe and Shaq had an internal rivalry, with Kobe needing something to prove as he had yet to win a single Finals MVP out of the 3 they won together. Larry Brown bet on this, shutting down Kobe with aggressive double teams, full court presses, and physical guards, not giving him space to breathe. Kobe averaged 24 points, 5.5 boards, 5 assists, and 2.6 turnovers on 43.8% shooting and 32.7% three-point shooting during the regular season. In the finals, however, Kobe averaged 22.6 points, 2.8 boards, and 4.4 assists on 38.1% shooting and 17.4% three-point shooting. It would be an understatement to say that his efficiency dropped, as they, in fact, plummeted. Yet Kobe continued to shoot and force offense as Larry Brown expected, still taking 22.6 shots a game throughout the series. Meanwhile, Shaq got his and averaged 26.6 points and 10.8 boards on 63.1% shooting. Larry Brown knew this would frustrate Kobe, and they were right. Larry Brown perhaps was the straw that broke the camel's back, as Shaq then proceeded to leave the Lakers after this loss, and Kobe almost left too, don't forget that. Larry Brown almost dismantled Kobe's legacy as only playing for the Lakers because of how deep he played into the psychology, sending the Lakers into years of spiraling under players like Smush Parker and Kwame Brown. And in the finals, the pressure did not let up. Larry structured the Pistons team to have a defensive-based rotation, with players like Lindsey Hunter coming off the bench continuing to apply defensive pressure. With all of the defensive tools, Larry Brown counted on Phil Jackson's triangle offense to prevent the Lakers from spacing the floor out. To beat the Pistons defense, the Lakers were forced to break the triangle offense and hit threes, forcing the role players to step up. This did not happen, and the Pistons handily won the finals in 5 games. We all remember Kyrie infamously blasting coaching, saying he doesn't really see his team as having a head coach. While this can be true if the players themselves are great enough, that rarely ever happens, as coaches are the glue to greatness. Most people think coaching is just drawing plays on a whiteboard, but at the pro level, it's chess, rotations, matchups, momentum control. You make the wrong sub at the wrong time, boom, 12-2 run. Great coaches don't just react to the game, they shape it. Great coaches manage the game clock like it's currency, using timeouts as momentum breakers. You don't notice it on SportsCenter, but that +6 in the second quarter, that's the game. These decisions go a long way. In the 2015 finals, Steve Kerr made the decision to bench Andrew Bogut, who was getting exposed in pick and roll actions, much like Shaq. The Warriors went full small ball with Draymond Green at center, creating the now famous death lineup. In 2019, Nick Nurse kept the game simple, deploying a high school defense, a box and one, throwing the Warriors out of rhythm, swarming Curry, as no NBA team had seen this tactic in decades. In 1980, after Kareem got hurt, Pat Riley put Magic Johnson at center, enabling him to play every position. Pat Riley showed how great positionless basketball could be. In the 2012 playoffs, Eric Spoelstra moved Bosh to center, creating the now standard stretch 5-out basketball model. This maximized LeBron's downhill ability, forcing defenses to either defend the perimeter and let him take over, or help and be burnt by his passing ability for easy threes. Each of these coaching decisions changed NBA history, yet the players get all of the credit. So yes, coaches matter. The stats say it too, not just the eye test. It is no coincidence that the Warriors jumped from a plus 3.0 net rating to a plus 10.1 net rating in the first year under Steve Kerr. It is no mistake that Tom Thibodeau's teams drastically improved defensively almost immediately. It is no mistake that Ty Lue's small ball lineup was plus 17.6 in the 2021 season. How do you think the 2023 Miami Heat, a play-in team, made the NBA Finals? You won't always see it. You won't always hear it. But behind every clutch moment is a coach who pulled the right string 3 plays earlier. So the next time you watch a game, observe the sidelines. See what the coaches are doing. Look at their body language. Learn when they call timeouts. Study offensive sets. Take the time to truly understand the masterminds of the game and what they do to make it great. Because that is where games are won. If you learned something today, drop a like and tell me in the comments. Who's the most underrated coach in NBA history?